Hey guys, my name is Haley, and we're going to be filming a reading wrap up because I haven't wrapped up anything since I moved here. I also have been vlogging so much that it seems to me, at least personally, I've always hated filming wrap ups. I don't know if that's a unpopular opinion on BookTube, but I find them tedious, especially when I'm vlogging, in which you can see the vast majority of what I am reading while I am vlogging. So it seems somewhat redundant. But I am going to wrap up the books that I read over the last 3 months. I believe it's July, August, and now September. Is September over? No. Am I filming this early? Yeah. Am I probably just going to do some reading wrap ups when I feel like I need to? Also, yeah. So I have I think 18 books to wrap up. And another reason I haven't been filming wrap ups is sometimes I have little to nothing to say about certain books. And I feel this need to fill the space and give explanations when sometimes I just don't really care that much about a book, or it's in a series and I don't have the ability to even talk about it. So it seems somewhat pointless because I don't want to give spoilers. But yeah, we're gonna jump right into the wrap up. So the first book that I read, I keep saying the first book. None of this is in. I'm so used to filming wrap ups. I've had a YouTube for 8 years. You think I would know how to do this by now, but as I said, I don't. I don't like doing them. I also am going to be that person. If you like my content, if you enjoy this video, if you like queer books, if you like talking about the state of the current regime and what's going on in the country, meaning the US right now, please go leave a comment, a like, go subscribe. I've been in a YouTube purgatory hell for over a year now, and I can't tell if it's getting worse or getting better. So I'm actually going to be one of those people that starts asking people to subscribe. So if you enjoy my content, please go subscribe, especially with TikTok going down the hellhole that it is right now, and leftist content creators are being demonetized. That's all I'm going to say on that. Anyways, the book that I'm going to start with is, I don't know how to pronounce it. This is the cover. It is an indie author. I got this from Akron Book Fest and talked to the author. They were very nice. I'm going to call it a Call Me Icarus novel because I don't know. I think these are Greek. Don't quote me on that. I really enjoyed this. It's like a weird little paranormal book. It involves angels, and I thought it was a pretty solid little paranormal novel. I gave it 3.5. I think I might even give it 4 stars. I really liked it. I liked our main character a lot. But yeah, that is the Call Me Icarus novel. Then I read Bloomtown Part 2, which I definitely talked about the first Bloomtown book in my what month was that? June wrap up. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on that, this is one of my favorite sapphic series of all times. If you have not read this and you enjoy sapphic novels, please read this. It is a sapphic western with a lot of religious trauma, and I loved it. Then I read The Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, which is book 3 in Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm obsessed with Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've talked about it a few times here on my channel, and I know everyone and their mother is reading it, so I feel like if you've heard of it, you probably don't need my opinion on it of whether or not you're going to read it. And then I read All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I liked this. I gave it 4 stars. I'm probably going to get rid of it because I have an art copy, and I'm probably just going to put it in a little free library because me and my partner are moving around a lot right now due to a lot of the crises, including the housing crisis here in the good old United States. And yeah, I'm kind of being more picky with the books that I keep because I was only able to bring 50 of them with me across country. I'm from Ohio, currently staying in Vegas. If you want more information about that, again, go subscribe. I talk about it all the time in my vlogs. And then I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I, at first, really liked this. I liked the video game aspect about it specifically. I think the ideas for the video games in this book are very fun. Everything else about this book, I low-key hated. I hated both of our main characters. I hated that they wanted there to be a romance between the two of them. The only character that I liked was the middle of the love triangle of the two main characters. I also don't quote me on this because I might be incorrect, but I swear I heard people saying Gabriella Zevin was a Zionist. If that is true, I would not be surprised based on the contents of this book, and that's all I'm going to say on that. I didn't like this. I gave it 2 stars. I got rid of it. And I read an ARC novel, which I have the full video book review link. Oh, I need to go write that. Somebody remind me to go write my written review. I think I'd have my schedule to do that tomorrow because the book comes out Tuesday. It's coming Tuesday, September 30th. I read We Have Reached the End of Our Show by Allie Gordon. Allie Gordon is a member of Team Star Kid. I've been a friend, I wish, a fan of Team Star Kid for like 15 years. So the fact that one of the members of this theater troupe wrote a book was very exciting for me, but I also really, really love the book. And also, if you like things with religious trauma in it and you find those sorts of conversations important, I highly recommend this. There's a character in here who has a lot of issues with religious trauma. And I read this in a day. And I've also talked to Allie online about it several times. So this comes out September 30th. Please go order it. She is a small indie author. This is her first book. Please go support her. And then I read Say a Little Prayer by Jenna Voris. This also, I really do need to film my religious trauma, like books for the religious trauma girlies video so badly because I have so much of content for it now. But this is the story about a girl who left church because she was queer, and also they treated her sister like absolute crap. And then she is forced to go to a church summer camp to make up for a fight that she got in at school. And so she makes it her mission to like infiltrate and bring down this church camp. And do, I think it's, she wants to do all of the 7 deadly sins at church camp. That sounds goofy and funny, but if you have religious trauma, this might be a little too real for you. So please go in with that trigger warning. I loved this. I would love to read other things by Jenna Voris. I thought this was fantastic. And then I read Grey Dog by Elliot Gish. Was that the author? Yes. And if you like Slewfoot by Brom, please read this. It is very similar. It is set in like Puritan, early American colonial times, and it is about a girl who is a teacher, and she goes and gets a new teaching job, but it is also suspected that she is not straight, and that was not allowed in those time periods, and it is her kind of descending into madness in this small town. It is very similar to Slewfoot in a lot of ways. It's the same vibes, but I thought the ending was way more chaotic, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I do recommend this one if you want the colonial times, like Puritan England, early America, we hate women vibes. That's the vibe here. This is a horror book. And then I read The Fate of the Sparrow Gods, which was book 4 in Dungeon Crawler Carl. Loved it. Loved this series. It's been a solid like 4.5-star series for me. Then I read Atmosphere. I have an entire vlog of me basically sobbing over this book. I will leave that vlog linked down below. I have had a weird experience with Taylor Jenkins Reid, being that I've read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I thought it was fine. I also just don't really like that gossipy celebrity style book, but I did want to read it because it was queer. This is also way more queer than I ever expected it to be. So if you're looking for a historical sapphic romance about the moon landings and about NASA, this also had some religious trauma in it. I need to actually annotate this because I read it on ebook via my library. So I will eventually annotate this and transfer my annotations from my ebook. Because I did also buy the ebook. Was it a great financial decision? No. And I hear things happening. I will be right back. And we're back. It's going to be a chaotic type of filming day. I think we're in September now, so these are the most recent reads that I have had. We have The Violent Take It by Force by Matthew D. Taylor, and this is a book about Christian nationalism. I listened to the audiobook of it, and it's the undertext being the Christian movement that is threatening our democracy. If you're interested in what's going on in the country right now and you don't know anything about Christian nationalism, this is a good place to start. I knew a lot of this having come from Christian nationalist spaces as somebody who came out of a very high control religious cult. So a lot of this was not news to me, but a lot of the things, particularly about January 6th, were things that I did not know because my little sect of Christianity was not involved in that. But I know a lot of people who are adjacent to our denomination were. So I read The People's History of the United States, which I have physically. I annotated the crap out of this. I read this in like a week. I think it was like 8 days, which is a lot for considering this is a history book that's like 700 pages long, 600 some pages, as you can see. I loved it. If you want a history book that includes a lot of things that you were not taught in high school, particularly in America, This is a solid place to start. I also will say this is very approachable when it comes to history, because a lot of history books are often very dense and hard to get into. I did not have any issues with that in this. This also talked quite a bit about how we treated natives in this country, which I feel like a lot of history books skip over. So you've probably seen this on TikTok. I know this went viral early on in the current regime. So I highly recommend this. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read The Compound. I have an entire 24-hour video about this that did get interrupted. It was my last video that went up that wasn't a short, but I read this. This is about, it was pitched as Love Island but post-apocalyptic. And as somebody who's never seen Love Island, I didn't know how I felt about that. And I'm also not very big into reality TV. I found this fascinating. I loved the ending. I think this is a very, very good look at the way that we view media and entertainment in a sort of hellscape of, this is not set in America, but in the hellscape of not democracy, in the hellscape of a reality of a world in which there are constant wars happening at all times, while people choose to look away and look at entertainment purposes, such as a dating show. Then I have When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir. This I read in one sitting. I also annotated. This told me a lot I didn't know about the Black Lives Matter movement. I was still in my Christian cult when all of that was going on, and I did not like a lot of my church's reaction to it, which was one of the many domino effects that got me out of the cult, including all of their support for Trump and things like that. My church didn't outright say a lot of that stuff, but many people within it did, and I was very alarmed. So this was the start of the Black Lives Matter movement and the people that got it going. And I highly recommend the read, even if you are, especially if you are a white person who doesn't know a lot about things like microaggressions and stuff. I feel like this lays it out in a very understandable, approachable way. And then we have The Faces Things We Adore. I also read this in my 24-hour vlog that was all kinds of chaotic. And I picked this up because it was pretty at the bookstore at the same time I was picking up the new Andrew Joseph White. And it is about a girl who joins a cult. So a lot of cult things going on right now. This is a horror book. I was very weirded out by the pacing of this at the beginning. I also think this is the author's debut novel, and I will definitely be reading anything else that Hester Steele puts out because I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. Then I finished the 5th Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is The Butcher's Masquerade. I think I only have 2 more left that are out. I think this is supposed to be a 10-book series, so I'm kind of putting off the last 2 because I have no idea when book 8 is coming out. And then I read another arc. I read Exhibit Aurora. This was written by Kylie Casino, who was a friend of mine that I did theater with back in the day. I got the arc for her debut book. This is a modern retelling of Snow White with a very science-y twist, but it's a nice combination of science and magic, which I really enjoyed. It is about Aurora as if when she is put in a modern day museum and literally put on as an exhibit that people can come and see, and how all of the commentary around COVID and how it used to be a thing where they used to allow people to do the true love's kiss thing, and all of the commentary about how weird that was as a society and why we let that happen and why it took COVID people not doing that to not do that anymore. I really enjoyed this. There was a nice dream sequence idea in here that I really, really liked, and I just overall thought it was a very solid debut novel, and I'm very excited that a friend of mine wrote a book. And then the last book that I have finished is Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. I have read The Poppy War, which was her debut, I believe. I also own 2 of her other books. I own Yellowface and I own Babel. And I'm way more excited to read those because I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. I think a lot of people went into this thinking it was going to be a very action-packed book about hell, and that is not what this is. This is more so a deep dive into the problems within academia, especially in things like master's programs and post-grad programs and things like that. People who are deeply into learning, but it deals with a lot of the misogyny and a lot of the issues in general about how students are treated in those spaces. And then just so happens to take place in hell. And as an ex-Christian, I find books about hell very interesting, which is why I wanted to read this originally. Also, apparently, this edition has typos and such in it, which I only found like one or two. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I found it funny because obviously I would rather have the pretty book with the really cool end pages and cover than the one. And I got this like, I think the day after release day. I don't know if the stenciled edges are available anymore. At the Barnes & Noble I went to the other day, they were not, and it's only been 2 weeks. So I enjoyed this. I'm very excited to read more R.F. Kuang. And yeah, those are all of the books I've read recently. Again, if you want any of my in-depth thoughts, I have 4 weeks of weekly vlogs, as well as a 24-hour readathon, as well as a review video for Allie's book of We Have Reached the End of Our Show. So all of those links will be in the comments down below. I hope you all enjoyed this. I don't know how I'm going to go forward with wrap-ups, especially if I continue vlogging the way that I am with the weekly vlogs, because again, I find them redundant and pointless, which is why I haven't done one in like 2.5, 3 months. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, leave me a book stack emoji in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.